So with their powers combined, they identified some of the weaker points of that online broadcast and nipped it. So if you guys have not tuned in, you didn't realize it was on last week, or you didn't much care for the games last week, fair enough. Opening week can be a little, Although there were some real big upsets. So far, Atlanta has proven interesting. I'll get into this series in one hot second. But yeah, if you haven't realized that DreamHack Online started, it has started. So this is the second week, and there's a third week next week. They have taken away a lot of the extra stuff that's like not really all that useful. So the longer introduction to every single best of 3, that super long surveying the StarCraft battle, that's gone from every beginning best of, which I think makes a lot of sense. And they've told us to reduce the amount of time on the desk, including the length of the interviews as well. So everything is like much snappier. And honestly, there's a fair question as to if there really is a host needed for such events. But considering that's where my payday comes from, I'll take it. Okay, so just going over the stream schedule. Now we can focus in on this one and get the bets going as well. We got MaxPax in the top right versus HeRoMaRinE in the bottom left on Inside and Out. MaxPax 2-0'd Rainer. Perhaps a bit of a bop. Second game was a bit of a cheese by the looks of things, but I don't know what happened in the first game. That was a PvZ. HeRoMaRinE just took down Showtime 2-1. Two of the games that he won were kind of one-sided, but then Showtime's also one-sided, so not the most spectacular of best of 3, to be honest. But point is, he is now the one with a little more credibility to the matchup. But obviously, very big difference in playstyles between Showtime and MaxPax. Both of them trying to get that #1 spot confirmed. Best Protoss in Europe. Many people, I think kind of the general consensus is that MaxPax would probably be the best in Europe. But since he doesn't go to offline tournaments, you can't say that for sure. But MaxPax's online results, especially in the last 6 months, I think, with his improved PvT, are formidable. And it seems like he's finally got a handle on the new PvZ as well, which was also in question for a few months. MaxPax going for a proxy Stargate, by the way. No, it can't be a Stargate. What is he going? Proxy Gate? Proxy Gate. Yeah, okay. Just, after the Nexus. Isn't a very early proxy gate. Anywho, so yeah, without that offline performance, which we still absolutely consider the most prestigious and the real, grits, of a competitor has to prove themselves on that stage in front of a crowd against his opponent right across from him type of situation. Yeah, MaxPax just can't officially be stated as, despite his Eligulac, which is quite up there at this point. But the styles is what's the most important. The styles are very different. Showcased here by Showtime, never really doing this type of proxy gateway, although he has done proxies. But MaxPax kind of doing whatever the hell he wants, including getting his stalker shot down by a Wouldn't Mind. Did not see it. It's tucked in on that back corner of the barracks. Kind of the most clever way to do it, because I think part of the targeting is also obscured, which kind of makes an extra impact. And now MaxPax is in actually kind of trouble. He's going for a 3-gate total, right? And he's trying to get a Twilight Council after the fact, so very delayed on the technology. But if you had snowballed this correctly, so one stalker kind of pushes back a couple of Marines, stops the bunker from finishing, then the Adepts show up. I mean, it's definitely very difficult. It looks like HeRoMaRinE didn't realize what it was, though, so it still is going to be very difficult. One stalker being overly aggressive did not tell him what he needed to know, that there was a proxy gateway, or the third gateway was actually finishing. This would have looked like a second gateway if he even scouted it, which he did not. But he did scout the later Twilight Council, so he definitely knew something was up. He just could not be sure as to what. And now he has lost control of the natural. A couple SCVs getting killed as well. Gonna have to be pulled into the fray. 6 SCVs so far in total. 7. We got a Wouldn't Mind drop also happening, however, denying a lot of mining time. So that's something, but 8 SCVs went down before MaxPax was finally pushed back. And as far as actually being pushed back, easy. A tank sieging up says yes for now, but we do have Blink on the way and a possible blink on top of the tank eventually. Not going to be a second tank. It's actually going to be a Cyclone after tank, which is kind of an interesting choice. Usually it's the other way around, and it's usually because they're kind of going for a catch-all defense. So I guess maybe going for the tank first, and then thinking the Cyclone can help out with the catch on a Warp Prism, or a more punishing follow-up if MaxPax dives in a little bit too eagerly. The Cyclone can actually chase and kill something in return. You know, obviously more microable, but then doesn't actually micro! Oh no, so he was paying attention to maybe the Banshee going across the map, then the Adept getting into the main, and just missed the Cyclone, which... I mean, a Cyclone would have been helpful, but I'm thinking more like the amount of time he spent getting that instead of a tank. Again, like that was supposed to have some merit, and it had 0 merit. A Raven pops out after what was a Banshee, actually, and the Banshee went to the main. Looks like it got pushed back just because of the shield battery. So that's very ineffective. And MaxPax, even though the first Stalker Bop looked a bit bad, the fact is, his opener has actually done a good job surprising HeRoMaRinE. And I think got enough SCV kills to make it okay. It's not that fantastic. As we look at the worker count, that's really not where Protoss necessarily wants to be. Only up by 8? Well, I mean, that's actually exactly where they want to be. So there you go, yeah. I think he got enough SCV kills to make this fine. But I would not say that he's just like, yep, time to la 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 la, and then win the rest of the series. Like, it's not going to be easy here. But it is a game he can play out. Now, 2 tanks available, 3 tanks in total. Yeah, really not going to be worth it jumping up into the main base. I was worried with that delay on the second tank. Oh, he's going to grab the Raven. HeRoMaRinE was looking for the Observer. Found it, but then, you know, got too close to the sun, basically. What was I saying? Oh, I was worried about the Cyclone production, you know, interrupting the tanks. Maybe without this tank sieging up, Stalkers would have blinked in, right? But apparently, even with the Cyclone coming into that production line, 3 tanks are still available by the time MaxPax actually had something to do with blink. But the side of the map right now that we're looking at, it's a little less important, actually, than the setup that MaxPax is getting back on his side of the map. So let's take a quick look over there. Charge is finishing. He does have 1 Forge, powering away in a +1 attack, which... I don't know if it's actually going to be done by the time HeRoMaRinE moves out. An upgradeless mass gateway army with a couple of Archons, sure, but still. Against what HeRoMaRinE is able to build up, that is concerning. 20 army supply difference. MaxPax's going to have a warp in of Archons in a hot second. Oh, goes for all Zealots, actually. I would have sworn he would have invested into 2 High Templars, because he could have, but maybe not wanting to. Oh, okay, there we go. 2 High Templars got warped in. But also a Zealot bomb into the main base, very effective. Force fields as well. Oh, equally effective pickup there. And that Archon is no longer going to have a shield battery to just tank and tank and tank and more tank. The shield battery's gone. MaxPax also loses the Archon. Just so much DPS, not going on anything else. From behind, however, the Zealots come in, take care of 1 tank, maybe take care of a second. But there's not enough firepower for MaxPax to actually push through here, and he is going to lose this game. That lack of shield battery, a huge difference maker. 1 more shield battery further back, powering up the Archon as it tanks most of the damage, and the Zealot come back on the backside. Like, that would have maybe done the trick. The MaxPax was in a very difficult spot, army supply-wise. And he was just shy of getting to the appropriate type of army as well. And that is going to be it. Even though MaxPax has a Warp Prism, there's no Zealots. They're all being warped in back at home desperately. An Immortal pops out. Would have been very effective against this type of army with a bunch of Zealots, but nope. Too little, too late. HeRoMaRinE wins game number 1. Have I ever seen MaxPax's face? No, I have no idea what he looks like. I'm honestly imagining like a Neeb Clem crossover face, you know? Basically imagining some of the Shire personalities in the scene. I don't think Clem was actually ever that shy, but Neeb, I think, was like very much, I don't want to do anything other than what I have to. So if I have to show my face, okay, fine. But I don't want to do interviews. I don't want to do, like, press stuff for my team. I'll do what's asked of me. And he was, you know, visibly uncomfortable for a long time earlier in his career. Now he does it and he just doesn't really care. But yeah, that's what I imagine visually. This MaxPax is just clemming me. Whoop. Okay. Game number 2 is going to be on Cosmic Sapphire. If my observing was worse than usual, it's because Apollo's butt is right up against my mouse. You want to see a cat butt? Here you go. When I move, I'm gonna give this desk probably to my parents and then, or sell it, whatever. And then get a, I want to get an L-shaped desk. So Apollo has some place to sleep. You know, that's the most important part. So best of 5 continues. Top left down a game is MaxPax. Bottom right is HeRoMaRinE. MaxPax didn't get what he wanted, I think, from the opener. But I do still say that he got enough. I didn't check the worker count the entire time, so if there was ever a point where he was only 4 or 5 workers ahead, that would have been bad. Right? So maybe I missed that. But when I checked and he was 8 workers ahead, I mean, that's pretty much the thing in this matchup. So Mule covers about 4 SCVs. 2 orbitals, 2 mules, 8 workers, right? But that was more like if you had just kind of erased the first 5 minutes of the game and looked at the situation, it would have been a very similar situation to a normal opener where none of the proxy shenanigans happen, none of those additional warp-ins happen, which is to say the Protoss is cutting a fine line between getting a good economy and technology and a decent enough army to actually stop the Terran attack. So we will see other Protosses. I mean, I think Zest was pretty infamous for this. He would just barely not have enough at the beginning of a defense, and then might eventually get to the point where he wanted to, you know, have enough warp-ins and have enough mobility with mass zealots. But if he didn't, if you kind of get hit at the right exact time, the shield battery got sniped or whatever, then it was a very quick snowball in the Terran's direction, because those gate units really need to have a certain size, certain quantity to them to really be effective. So I think that actually just looked like a normal TVP. I would not say that MaxPax failed based on the opener. Whoops-a-daisy, that was the wrong button. Ah! There we go. But I don't think, like, obviously what he wanted from the opener was to be ahead, which definitely did not happen. Kind of forgot all my controls for a second. So anyways, moving to game 2. We take away that earlier portion, maybe just, even though perhaps technically it was okay for MaxPax, it still maybe put him in a bad mindset or kind of set him on the back foot, kind of momentum-wise, which can be a big thing. And so he was a bit late to X, Y, and Z, Archon, shield, battery, defense, whatever. Take that away, give us a more normal 8-minute TVP, and I think we're going to have more back and forth. But, I say it didn't really happen with HeRoMaRinE Showtime. When they pushed, they seemingly got the advantage to then win the game later down the road, so wasn't a super dicey, nail-biting type of series. We'll see if that changes with this one. HeRoMaRinE does change things up by going for a factory expand. 99% sure he went for double gas, so I'm pretty sure yeah, everything's done, yeah. Factory expand. And so the Adept will see that it is really a non-threatening one. All things considered, it's not like there is a... Well, he doesn't know there's a proxy starport, but he knows that it wasn't a full-on 1-1-1, which would have been insane to do. 1 Cosmic Sapphire. And again, no pro really does a 1-1-1 in this matchup. So just confirming at the very least that it is a command center on the way. Cannot confirm or deny the existence of a starport or additional 2 barracks. Not until this moment where MaxPax was not getting in with the Phoenix. Just kidding. Okay, whatever, man. I mean, because it's still theoretically, the Marines shown could not be potentially like all of the Marines, right? I mean, this Maybe could have been a 3 racks, but most people don't do that. After all things, appearance-wise, looks like a factory expand. One of my drop did commence right after the Phoenix was able to be shooed away by the Viking, actually. So now they're back on the home side, taking care of the Wood of Mines. My medevac does survive, however. I'm really surprised. I mean, with what MaxPax saw, just the command center, I mean, it's unlikely it's like that late of a command center after a 3 racks, right? Because at the time in the command center says it was a factory expand, but I'm surprised the Phoenix didn't dip in and then immediately leave. But I guess timing, it wouldn't have mattered. The medevac drop is still going to commence. The Wood of Mine's still distracted. And a couple of units lost their lives. And now HeRoMaRiNE's push on third base is looking kind of good. The shield battery finishes, which means MaxPax holds, right? Yeah, pretty much that. Pretty much the shield battery finishes in a safe location. This isn't going to be a problem. But HeRoMaRiNE is the one applying all the pressure. MaxPax ahead, 9 workers. That's fine. But doesn't really have too much of a fighting force. If he lost his Phoenix, that would be devastating, and just shy of doing so. Ditto on HeRoMaRiNE Cyclone. Both of them almost taking out very important units in this game. HeRoMaRiNE continuing to rally forth on one of the largest maps, but seeing an opportunity. Hoping to catch MaxPax splitting his army incorrectly, which might have just happened. Those Phoenix are not over here. Where the heck are they? Are they not coming over here? There they come now. All those Cyclones getting lock-ons without getting punished. Looking at you, super weak Cyclone. That should definitely be dead by now, but MaxPax just couldn't get into range. And this is definitely one of those intents from the Terran to shock and all. To be like, oh, it's just the Cyclone and Viking. No, it's just 2 Cyclones and Vikings. No, it's just 3 of them. And then it's like 4 of each. And you're like, what the fuck, man? Who does this? But MaxPax actually, I think, patrolled this right. And as such, okay, maybe. He's going to be okay. Controlled this well enough. He tracked it well enough to see a further reinforcement line. And knew that this wasn't just going to be like, okay, you leave, we macro, okay, see you later. Because that has gotten some other Protosses last week, I believe. It's one of the things that got Showtime, I think. Last time he faced off, I can see there was Clem or HeRoMaRiNE. I think it was Clem. Is that they showed off what looked like could have been a, yeah, I'm going to push you. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, see you later. And then it's a lot of stuff. If MaxPax had started to invest into other things faster or divvied up his army more than he did, I think it could have been really, really bad. The reason I'm emphasizing this is that with MaxPax being fine against it, what did HeRoMaRiNE sacrifice for it, right? So let's flip the narrative from, okay, MaxPax is the one that's got to be a little concerned here, to did HeRoMaRiNE make a mistake? I don't think he made a mistake, but there are consequences to adding in so many of these mid-tier units, the Cyclones and the Vikings, which Cyclones definitely not going to really be used later on down the road. The Vikings, potentially. If there was Colossus, there is not, so their use in the larger scale battles on the ground also usually not that impactful. So HeRoMaRiNE is a fine army. It's a fine army, but does not have an economy. So he really is dedicated here. He's got 5 barracks on 2 bases. No SCV pool, which I would have expected, but nonetheless a very intimidating army. And well, now the SCV pool is happening into the charge lot run-bys, but that means the charge lots are on the other side, not helping to defend. Storm is about 20 seconds out, and without Storm, this third Nexus is a goner, I think. I'm actually kind of surprised that MaxPax, with the SCV damage he just dealt, doesn't just pull back from the third base. You know, almost entirely. At the very least, pull back like this right now, but now Storm is at least done. He's going to go for it. Takes what he can get on top of all the mechanical units, gets one somewhat on top of the Marines. Just the act of dodging the Storm, however, meant that HeRoMaRiNE's army wasn't firing at full potential. But most of those Marines did just barely survive. Plenty of medevacs still healing. A tank still anchoring this push. It's still very, very close. An Observer is actually being pumped out because he does need it. He needs to clean up these Widow Mines. But that means, of course, is no Immortal, which might have been also extremely helpful. One Archon joins the fray. Observer is now out. can go into surveillance mode, but that is really not his main worry anymore. It might have been a hot second ago, but now it is not. Now he has to give up control over his third base. Did he use too many units trying to defend unsuccessfully? It looks like it. If that storm was done from the get-go and he could have laid down some even warning storms, I think that is game over for... Okay, well, okay, Mouse, do what you want. That is game over for HeRoMaRinE. If he had completely... Not completely abandoned ship, because that would have been the green light for the Terran to be like, okay, I'm going to run into your natural. But if he had faked defending that third a little bit more and actually just said, you know what, I didn't really want that anyways, I think that also could have been a big difference. That might have been what he wins in the game, because he also could have been building Archons behind that type of front. He could have been building High Templars, building energy behind that type of front. But by actually kind of showing his hand at all times, HeRoMaRinE could size it up correctly at all times and say, yeah, I can take this battle, I can do this, I can do that. So unfortunately, as hard fought as this is, MaxPax still not wanting to let this go. And it is going to go to HeRoMaRinE. GG. Apollo, you do this on purpose. So fuzzy, cute though. It's so fuzzy. Hey, Zig. Third map's gonna be Waterfall. Alright, chat. Which cat do you want to see? Apollo the white cat or Ziggy the black cat? In the bottom left of Waterfall, down 2 games. He is MaxPax. In the top right, we have the red Terran HeRoMaRinE. Very close to winning this best of 5 right here, right now. Waterfall, kind of a scary map for both sides. Both have to take into consideration how aggressive each other can be. Perhaps, stereotypically, the shorter map and reinforcement point kind of goes to the favor of the Terran with their rally pushes. Silly boys. But with the likes of, you know, aggressive Protoss players such as MaxPax in our midst, something that HeRoMaRinE has to worry about is a perhaps very large swell of gateway units into immediate... Okay, all the cats have left, so that's fine. Into an immediate advantage, taking advantage of momentum, right? So if HeRoMaRinE's like, I'm doing the Terran thing, I'm pushing in, and MaxPax is totally ready to go with no upgrades, very little gas, and a billion zealots, then HeRoMaRinE might have made a mistake. Caveat to that is that we've seen a Protoss set up for exactly that type of scenario and then still be a little shy in the number of zealots and still die. So I don't want to say it's like foolproof, but generally, theoretically, I think it is a good idea on this map to a Terran, against a Terran who you expect to kind of be like humdrum, this is when I push, this is when I dodge. Which HeRoMaRinE, I mean, could be accused of, I suppose. He's actually done such a great job of branching out since what we knew him from, you know, 4 years ago at this point. Anyways, point is, anything can happen. It could be long, it could be short. Could be macro, could be micro. Could be TVP, could be PvT. Yeah. Is that a stream deck thingy? You're probably looking at my stream deck, so yes. I'm gonna say confidently that it was my stream deck thingy. Oh yeah, when my mouse freaked out, it was definitely because of the cat hair. 100%. Oops. Also, I think I pressed the button that changed the DPI, so it's annoying. What happened in this game? Pretty normal stuff from MaxPax, actually. Reaper might get one probe kill here. Get him. Get him. Get him. Yeah, for sure. And with this probe also dying. Well, no, it shouldn't die. It shouldn't die. HeRoMaRinE should make sure it doesn't die. Not to the Widowmine, anyways. I was gonna say at least 2 probes will die, but this actually might be 3. Perhaps even a 4th. Oh, yes, it has to be time. Oh my god! Did it only shoot once? What happened there? I thought for sure I was gonna kill it. Killed. Still, 3 probes go down to a single Reaper that also, of course, got a full scout, and the fact that it was a Phoenix opener. I'd be pretty happy with that. This HeRoMaRinE. He is sacrificing a little bit of his economy with his opener and his high ground command center, but still pretty happy with the trade for the Reaper. And totally safe from any confuzzlement. From any, oh, I want to micro on the offense and also my defense, because you just waltz. Don't have to worry about adepts getting into your main base then. We got a Widowmine drop picked up. MaxPax technically doesn't know that it's on the way. Again, with what he's seen, there's a world where it is not a Widowmine drop. Could be a proxy starport Hellion, could be proxy Banshees for all he knows. But sizing up for the defending for the thing that makes the most sense, right? Like, yep. Almost screwed that up, actually. Almost got a couple more probes killed with that Widowmine shot. No punish on the medevac. Oh, not yet anyways. Phoenix do come back home, which means the medevac is going to be dead. It is dead. Not totally uncommon, right? Not something that HeRoMaRinE was not expecting. Since he saw that it was a Phoenix opener, there is a very high chance that your medevac drop actually gets completely destroyed. Although he almost saw an opportunity to get away with it. And Phoenix were almost 2 out of position. So far, so good for MaxPax, who is on his last life. He's going into Phoenix Colossus, now grabbing his 3rd base, so one of the safer openers. Kind of constrains you on 2 bases for a little longer. Your 3rd base can be taken kind of at a nice and easy pace. Just tap it in. And with the Phoenix actually doing their job scouting at this point, maybe a little bit of harassment, you can kind of figure out what to be concerned about. HeRoMaRinE has been favoring these 2 base attacks. Some SCV pulls, some not. It looks like HeRoMaRinE is going to invest into at least 1 missile turret. The Phoenix can stop being such a huge bother. Does HeRoMaRinE know that it is Colossus? Effectively, yes. He sees that it's a 4-gas setup on 2 bases after Phoenix, so, you know, the Robo on Twilight Council. You don't need to see the robotics bay at that point. What might be a little bit more in question is the actual order of things after the fact. So, did they grab a 3rd faster and are delaying that Colossus? Or are they adding on technology before that 3rd Nexus? Do they have a forge? And those may be a little more of the questions that you could have in the Terran seats. That probably won't change up your push timing all that much. I mean, at the end of the day, you are building into the Colossus, because that is correct. So the Vikings are on their way. The tanks are also going to be good there too. And then you're going to push. You're going to push whenever your Stim Combat Shields, whatever is done, right? So that's not really going to change, even if HeRoMaRinE knew exactly what the build order was. Like when that forge is put down, when the charge is on the way, whatever. But, speaking of which, charge is on the way. Phoenix cover the air, of course. HeRoMaRinE is setting up for, I want to say again, like a SCV pool, because I'm seeing him do these 2 base aggressions, but he doesn't really do like a full SCV pool, see? It's like a little one, a little babby one. MaxPax is keen on trying to get rid of any units possible, whatever he can find with these Phoenix, but knows the defense has to be done soon. sooner rather than later. It's a short map, and the army is already on his side. HeRoMaRinE actually spends a scan to ensure that he's going to the right location. 6 gateways are finishing up as I speak. Not done yet. Not reinforcing quite yet. 1 disruptor. Could actually, I wouldn't even mind if it goes on top of all the tanks. If all the tanks are clumped up and they all take half damage, I mean, that's not too bad, but, you know, usually the main target is the bio, which, oh, it forces a stim. And since there are no medevacs with this push, that is kind of important, but loses 1 Colossus, will not lose the disruptor. And the shield battery overcharge will help save the other air units. Colossus also needs some love there. Shield battery. Buddy. Pal. There you go. Still looks like a very dangerous position for MaxPax, right? The tanks just further leapfrog forward. We got missile turrets being built on the front as well. HeRoMaRinE supply actually all looking so hot, though. We got a lot of reinforcements finally being made. 1 more disruptor looking for a prime shot. Here comes the collapse. Lucid Archon as well, tanking at least a couple of shots there. The Vikings decide landing is where it's at. It's going to help take care of some of these zealots. The tanks actually do get lifted, but not destroyed. Missile turrets helping to kill some of those Phoenix, and reinforcements just trickling along here, trying to save the day. The Vikings lift again to kill the Colossus, and will have to land again to support everything else. The Zealots finally take care of all the tanks, but they really can't take care of all those Vikings. That's a decent number of Vikings right now, which could also be micro at the very least with the medevacs. And HeRoMaRinE is not quite done. He's gonna lift up all 8 Vikings. Oh no, 7 Vikings and a Marauder. Damn you, Marauder. Still, pretty comical situation. If he could have grabbed the entire probe line with those Vikings, which is absolutely possible. 7 Vikings would have killed probes so quickly. I actually think HeRoMaRiNE's fine. But not getting that many probes. 4 went down, not 24. I don't know. HeRoMaRiNE very close to actually breaking that, despite MaxPax getting a pretty damn good setup. I mean, he did get to reinforce a few times from his 10 gateways before the trigger was pulled. It wasn't enough. It was not enough. I don't think. About 20 worker difference is going to be hard to overcome, although 4 Vikings, again, kill probes so freaking fast. Blink is not done, all the Phoenix died, so drops are green light, right? Green lit? Green lit, yeah. Definitely not lighted, that's not a word. And if you pull the army out of position and kill probes and then do this forward attack, I can see that actually working. But Observer's going to scout this forward attack. Any type of jig would 100% be up. And HeRoMaRinE just like, yeah, Vikings aren't doing anything more. Let's just go ahead and bring them to the front lines. Good prediction. Good prediction right there. Sieging up long before he's actually in range of the Nexus itself. Not only going to take advantage of some of the high ground, low ground, which is totally cool. Definitely a good idea. But also make sure he wasn't pounced upon. Immortals do sacrifice themselves, or at least one of them, to kill a couple of those tanks. That is worth it. IMO. And the Liberators now need to make a decision, right? They know they can be attacked at any different angle, so where are they actually going to angle themselves? It looks like they're not going to bother trying to angle on top of the plateau. I can see that not really being super worth it, but 4 Liberators now. Advancing forward, there is a back attack. HeRoMaRinE doesn't see it coming. Now he sees it with the SCVs. Those tanks are pretty much completely undefended. They're completely undefended at this point. Those are going to go down. The army might try and do that, but then they also want to protect the Liberators. So, yeah, HeRoMaRinE knew that that was a last-ditch effort to win the game. It wasn't going to work, so he taps out pretty much as soon as MaxPax engages. So not going to be a 3-0, guys. Is chat really having a debate about whether or not women are impaired from using a standard keyboard? Because we have smaller hands? Chat, what's happening here? What in God's name? Seriously, that's a really silly question. Thing is, maybe it's not that silly of a question that it, you know, it can't be asked, but I feel like it's definitely a question that has to be asked and like no stupid questions, you know? If there's any judgment that can be thrown out, it's gonna be with a question like that. So you have to go to a completely judgment-free zone, which is, this chat's definitely not judgment-free. I judge every one of you. Now the point on the board, we have MaxPax. The bottom right, it is HeRoMaRinE. Transform a robot bigger than Jet Transformer. Yeah. You know, I guess in the true to scale, whatever it is called. True to real life Viking is definitely bigger than a Hellion, but like when you look at it in the game, it doesn't look that much bigger. But of course, the real reason why a Viking takes less slots than a Hellbat and a Medevac is balance. For those that weren't around during the Hellbat years, perhaps you didn't know this, but at one point you could fit 4 Hellbats into a Medevac, just as you can fit 4 Hellions into a Medevac. That did make sense. It didn't make sense as how overpowered it was, so. There was a time in Heart of the Swarm where there was literally Hellbat drops in every single matchup, determining the outcome of the game. It was kind of silly. Especially PvT. That was the silliest. The one thing they did to combat that was have less Hellbats. So MaxPax's gonna go for no proxy. At least not yet anyways. HeRoMaRiNE's gonna go for a factory expanse. Very close to winning last game, I would say. I mean, it was definitely a tricky spot. But MaxPax had, I think, a lot of forewarning. Did a great job of predicting it and buying enough time and just being patient, really. Being allowed patience, I guess, because he was already somewhat prepared. So HeRoMaRiNE had to be very careful with how he pushed. If they'd been able to just jump on top of everything, that is game over. And HeRoMaRiNE has been favoring those types of attacks, so as we move on to Moondance for game 4, kind of feeling the same thing. I think HeRoMaRiNE's gonna do the same type of thing. As you watch the Reaper dance. Dance, boy! And go back to this hand discussion. I mean, yeah, like, hand sizes just vary, right? But if it was like, it was literally something... Oh! I almost got a trap. Sorry, if it was literally something that had plagued humanity for the last 50 or 60... Well, typewriters have existed for longer than that, but you get what I'm saying, since keyboards. you think that would have come up. You know, you think they would have gone to a keyboard shop and saw... You know, tiny hands versus big hand keyboards. Or labeled, you know, woman versus men. But, you know, you've never seen that, which is why I'm saying it's like, it's not exactly like the stupidest question I've ever heard. Because what if this was actually just another one of those things where women did just get ignored, you know? Like, temperatures in workplaces, right? But... You think you would have, you know, at least heard about it or seen something about it or listened to any woman companion you've ever had say something about it. You know, that's why I think it's kind of a silly question. You have lived at least the 18 years of life that is required to watch this stream. And you've not heard about it. I don't know. It probably is not an issue, right? Yeah. That's what the judgment-free zones are for. This one's just not really it. We do have a little early attack, using the Medevac to help the attack, not do a Widowmine drop. Maybe not even drop at all. Just high ground vision, which go for the pylon 100%. That pylon is powering 2 important things, so would not want to lose that. Oh, just shy of the 4th Phoenix popping out. I don't think that's going to impact the game enough, but oh, 2 lock-ons absolutely would. If they had finished, that would have been huge, but no, they didn't actually kill the Phoenix. And now the lift happens. I'm actually still not really all that concerned. MaxPax has to handle this gracefully, but I do believe he will handle it. And the pylon goes down, but that was the backup pylon, so doesn't even need the supply there. Picks up the Cyclones, then goes for the medevac instead, so the Cyclones actually get the shots. Loses one of those Phoenix, loses a Stalker. Phoenix are also going to run out of energy if they don't take care of something soon. Finally take care of the medevac, but lose 2 Phoenix, and oh no. This is just awkward enough every single engagement to say that HeRoMaRinE is 1 out. That was just awkward enough, man. Now MaxPax, even if he does push this back, is in a really terrible position. Still hasn't expanded, so he's not really winning the economy war here. Has lost the Phoenix. Very expensive units that, if they had all survived, would have already been at a healthy count of 6. And then he could have gone across the map and done some real damage, have them for later battles as well, without having to reinvest into them. Now we're going to lose our Cybernetics Core and Gateway as well, so yeah. I think MaxPax did technically have enough, but kind of being put on a timer because of the positioning of everything, and then basically miscalculating the first engagement, so then the sloppy second engagement had to happen, has made it a snowball. Add in slightly faster reinforcements on a map like this, and MaxPax is just, he's in so much trouble. It might look like he's surviving, so what's the big deal, but he has absolutely been thrown for a loop. His build at this point is terrible. Like, he's not going to have a very fun mid-game. Phoenix now going to go across the map, figuring that the ground army will be enough at home with the shield battery overcharge and a Colossus popping out, but perhaps not calculating for the Liberator. Forward shield battery was kind of a sign of hope that he would be able to take engagements farther out on the field. Gets destroyed, so he's still tucked into his natural, really unideal, tank getting some brilliant shots off. Phoenix coming in late to the party as usual. They did not even bring any wine. This road. But they're kind of fun to hang out with, so at least they came. Still, came very late. Not a good situation for MaxPax. As again, maybe the supplies don't look all that bad, but the actual position. Is quite bad. MaxPax is down 5 workers. His 3rd Nexus only recently finishing, while HeRoMaRiNE's has been done and saturated almost. HeRoMaRiNE, really did spend a lot of time building units rather than getting to his production, stim, and combat shields, but he made up for that, for sure. So now all those things are on the way. He's got 5 barracks. And now going to do a double drop as he sees the Phoenix intent on harassing. They need to do some counter damage, right? So damned if you do, damned if you don't situation right now. You either don't do any SCV damage and have them at home to deal with the double drop, or you do the SCV damage, potentially lose track of your opponent's army. Because they're also the only scouters right now. Observer just now making his way across the field. And double drop's going right into that 3rd base without MaxPax having any knowledge about it. His Phoenix gonna return home. Look at his splits, but what else is on the ground here? Colossus and some units should be enough. Phoenix actually get recalled, but the timing is not gonna be very brilliant for them. One of them gets taken down. Second one is also gonna get taken down. However, this will be at a sacrifice of the 2 medevacs, ultimately. But 12 probes, 2 Phoenix killed. That's pretty nice. If HeRoMaRiNE not worried at all about his economy, even if the Phoenix were harassing, there's only so much harassment they could have done. HeRoMaRiNE just pretty much charging his lasers right now. Just getting to a pretty unbeatable army in the current situation. Yeah, pretty unbeatable. Yeah, there's definitely a chance that maybe his Vikings lag, his tanks are unsieged, and I don't know. Pretty much does it for how we can screw this one up. A 30 army supply lead, equal upgrades. No shield battery quite ready for MaxPax is also probably the source point there. Does manage to get a little bit of a siege up prior to the tanks actually hitting something important, so that's always ideal. But that's all he gets. He gets one 10-second time by, if that. And next is about to be canceled. Not actually the end of the world. It's like the comet's coming, but it hasn't hit yet. So you take what you can get, I suppose. Time for more... I don't know. What do you do when the world's ending? Get a pint, I suppose. So it's time to get a couple of beers, but that's pretty much it. It is descending on him currently. It is not so good. There's also no rewind. This is like the moon coming at the planet in Majora's Mask. You can literally see it coming closer. But you don't get to reset. You just lose. You just lose the series. MaxPax is still down 20 supply at this point, so it is better. Hitting right before that +1 armor is done for HeRoMaRinE as well. Charged in, picking up 2 of the tanks. Disruptor managing to get something there. Second Disruptor also going to get a fantastic shot. Oh, and he's going to break this. Oh my god. This is actually the point where Zelda... Or not Zelda. Oh my god, am I a real gamer or what? This is actually the point where Link has actually figured out how to stop the moon from collapsing in. It's the end of the game, actually. It's the good ending. MaxPax actually handled that super well. I mean, hitting before +1 armor was great. You know, no way you could have known that, but even with that being done, look how much is left over. That +1 armor probably would not have impacted it all that much. HeRoMaRinE now on the back foot. He's got his upgrades, and he's about to have some decent technology with those EMPs taking out a lot of these Archons, but 3 Disruptors now working against his own choke. MaxPax might have just made the comeback happen. 1 Disruptor used on a single Marauder wasn't too great, and the SCV pool is still very scary. MaxPax knows that he's got to be a little cautious. It's a brilliant position for a lot of Protoss players, but you don't want to overextend, suddenly get surrounded, lose the army, and have very little time to rebuild it. So it is a wiser choice right now to just go ahead and back away. This is a 4th command center, by the way, guys. Not his main base. It looked desperate for a hot second, but it's actually just a bit greedy. So 4 bases to 4. MaxPax certainly in a better position than ever before in this game, even though he's still only at 57 workers. This is room to play with. HeRoMaRinE, I would still say, having survived the counterattack, would be in a better position, but the Warp Prism comes in, drops off a bunch of Zealots, and that is quite frustrating to deal with. Good response so far, but then also has to handle the front push, which is going to be very difficult to do. At least he's got 2 directions really to work off of, both the reinforcements and the army on the left side. So MaxPax is once again hesitant to really, truly take an engagement. There was a big chance for him to win the game right here when HeRoMaRinE was locked into his own SimCity, but now we're going back to typical TDP where the Terran's going to be sizing up this really big concave and the Protoss has to be very concerned. Did I hear an observer just re-siege? Yeah, I did, yes, okay, so that scan wasn't effective. MaxPax is on +2 attack. So upgrades have effectively evened up, I suppose. Now moving on to a 5th base. No 2nd robo quite yet, which I actually think is going to come down soon. Or usually would anyways. But HeRoMaRinE, there is basically that one point where he lost the engagement that poorly, that his supply was scary low. But his production, his economy was always good, his production was always good, so it took him 30 seconds to really get up and running again. Now he has, once again, the army supply lead, 30 army supply lead, in fact. Vikings free firing on top of the Colossus, but Command Center not lifted fast enough. Gonna actually go down to the Archons firing away. And he still have the problem of the Disruptors choke holding you, basically. Like, there's not much you can do through a choke against Disruptors. There's no actual nullification of them. Imagine if EMP did nullify disruptor shots, though. That'd be so overpowered. Oh! Oh, that is extremely dangerous. Oh my god, MaxPax actually just recalled all of his army except his disruptors, and the army was looking at him, but he's gonna take care of it! Oh my goodness! MaxPax, I guess, identified pretty quickly that he had not taken his disruptors. Oh, but then miscontrols them, and there we go. Finally gonna get every last disruptor. Really not taking any shots to the face there. The first one got all of the ghosts, though. So it was a pretty damn first good disruptor shot, but that is all that can be said for the disruptors. One is on the field. Second one is about to pop out. Not really. It's about halfway done. Vikings could land in this engagement. If he had the EMPs, though, imagine how much easier this engagement would be. 4 EMPs with the advanced shockwaves. Those Archons are dead. 100%. They might still be dead, actually. Disruptor's gonna take the easy shot on the Vikings, which can't split anyways, but the micro against the Zealots, it looks to be good enough. Oh, the Archons are still alive, man. The Archons are still here. The Archons actually are going to pretty much make that the easiest battle of MaxPax's life. As what started off in a supply lead for HeRoMaRinE, I was gonna say Rotterdam because he just left the game, turned into a significant supply lead for MaxPax. Again, those EMPs would have been game-changing, because they wouldn't have just gotten the Archons, which I was hyper-focusing on, but they would have gotten all those Zealots, right? The Zealots die twice as fast, and the Archons are without most of their shield. That army disintegrates. But that one disruptor shot killing 4 ghosts was good enough. Ziggy has chosen the high ground. It's a smaller basket, which I guess makes it more comforting for him. Is that true? You feel nice and safe? Yeah. Hey, Apollo. The green guy is called Zelda, though. Yeah. Give me a break, okay? It's been a long time since the N64. Alright, I actually didn't really like the new Zelda. I want to give it another go, though. This is gonna be like Witcher number 2 for me. Which is that... Not Witcher, the second Witcher. Like, this is gonna be Witcher 3, take 2. For me. Because I was like, people kept telling me how good The Witcher 3 was, so I literally invested like 50 hours into a game that I thought was basically mediocre. Because I was convinced it was going to get really good at some point. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to play Breath of the Wild. And just be like, well, any given moment right now, I'm gonna really enjoy myself. 30 hours later, I'm the meme face of the guy who's super tired with like 5 o'clock shadow. Any moment now. Bottom left is MaxPax, top right is HeRoMaRinE. I just want to give it another go because I want something to play on my Switch. That's like more of an action RPG. Right now I'm replaying Final Fantasy VIII, which is very good, but I want something different. And Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm doesn't come out till next year, which I'm actually very excited about. I didn't realize they're going to make a new one. Facebook ads actually did something correct for once. And now I have something to look forward to in the video game world, which is a musical rhythm-based game of Final Fantasy. That's what I like in my life. I actually really love Theater Rhythm on the 3DS.
Resubscription received. Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
And for a while there, I was taking older portable consoles because I did just enjoy the games there. But I've kind of gotten lazy about it in the last couple of years, because one, I stopped traveling, so that was a big one. And then two, I just realized I wouldn't actually use any of the consoles I would bring very often. Like, unless I was already really deep into a game, like really addicted to something. So Civ or Darkest Dungeon or Skyrim or whatever. Yeah, I just wouldn't touch the console I brought it with me. I could go for like a 3-week trip with 6 different flights and I would never touch my Switch. So I stopped bringing like my PSP or my 3DS. I think I brought a Game Boy at one point. Still works. Not well, but it works. But I'll be excited for Theater Rhythm. Jed TN, thank you for the 19 months. Tropical Sacrifice, our final meeting place for these 2 players. MaxPax. Too stubborn to Protoss. Doesn't want to get beat 3-0. Probably the biggest change up for HeRoMaRinE. Factory expand with 2 Reapers. Not just 1. Hasn't really found much success with it yet, though. And MaxPax is actually taking this very seriously. Shield battery already done in the natural. Some Protoss might say that wasn't necessary, I guess. Say that some professional Protoss players would handle this without a shield battery in the main, or the natural, but it's a very safe way to do so. And good scout there from HeRoMaRinE confirms that it is a Stargate opener, and Phoenix directly as well. Was already building a Cyclone, I believe. So it just, you know, it's gonna be another Cyclone queued up behind it. And it looks like he might be doing a similar type of pressure build that he did start with last game, which I thought was very effective. Really looked like MaxPax wasn't gonna be able to recover from it, but kudos to MaxPax, I think specifically on the decision making as far as economy versus army went. So there was a very tough game to play out. It'd be very tempting for a Protoss player to kind of like baseline, I need a certain amount of probes. But MaxPax recognized the situation. And I think was very like cognizant of his third base being a half base as well. That he stopped at, what was it, 55. Because he kind of had to, but he also kind of could. Like, that was enough to work with. And even though he was getting a 4th base, he never really went up to that many more probes, right? He just transferred his probes once the minerals ran out. So I just wanted to point that out because it wasn't just lol Protoss army better, or even lol disruptor shots. Although the first mass defense he had to do, there was a couple of good ones. But the opener did throw him off, no doubt about it, so he had to recover. If the opener throws him off again, I don't know how likely it is he'll recover. So this one is another attempt to really make MaxPax make the difficult decisions. When do you actually pull the trigger on this one? Especially as the reinforcements come forward. Not particularly quickly on this map, but quickly enough. A fully finished 3rd base, effectively so, had to be canceled. That is a lot of time. And now you're using your own natural, which can be a little difficult to do sometimes. It chokes sometimes. Favors you, sometimes not. Certainly the shield body overcharge favors the Protoss, so that'll have HeRoMaRinE stopping for at least 10 seconds. But he's gonna re-engage. Still very tempting to get in there with the micro. The Cyclones, bop 3 units, gets the Sentry warped in. Immortal still hasn't been touched as far as I can see, so it has that Immortal shield. But now we get a Concave going on. The Vikings target down the Phoenix as it was trying to run away. And MaxPax is forced to defend this entirely on 2 bases. So that 3rd Nexus timing is once again in question. This is actually very similar to the last game. Perhaps the biggest difference is actually this tank now following up. So HeRoMaRinE, he did evacuate before the tank arrived, didn't he? Like, I kind of forgot, but now the tank is here, hitting away at the natural. Certainly now MaxPax having to use his own choke is working against him. And he's even going to lose production. So this is very sketch. He's been supply blocked for a while, so whatever's going to pop out here, a Colossus, oh my god, that would have been so helpful, is only now starting. At least takes care of the tank, just 2 Immortals. Having enough health to do that, but MaxPax, again, his build was entirely thrown off. Having to change things up kind of redirect your focus from trying to get the expansion up to actually getting your technology up to at least have something going for you, which is the something here. He's got Colossus on the way, so that's okay. But very similar in the momentum, the pacing of the game is very similar, which 100%, even though HeRoMaRinE lost the last game, I'm gonna say favored HeRoMaRinE. 52 workers with 2 mules versus MaxPax on 50 workers, oversaturating his 2 bases. I'm not crazy. I'm not bad at this. HeRoMaRinE has the lead there. Couldn't actually turn it into a victory, though. So we'll see if he can do it here. Game 5. Maybe able to improve on some of his previous game's mistakes. So last game, not quite able to make it work with the big push. The game before that was the one where he did the 2-base, like, most tank, most Viking thing on Waterfall, right? Maybe he could improve on something there. Because you kind of get maybe a combination of those, the last 2 games we've seen, the last 2 games that HeRoMaRinE lost. And this is another 2-base attack, no medevacs. Think back to Waterfall and how that went. MaxPax didn't have as much of a kind of clumsy opener on Waterfall. And the positioning on the map is also extremely different. As far as abusing a ledge around a third, that's not so different, but trying to get these units up to a third, or trying on MaxPax's side to get us around, maybe a little bit more of a concentrated effort. It's gonna have to pull the trigger on the shield body overcharge at the very least, save that Colossus, but actually pulling the trigger on the army is just a freaking disaster. Oh my god, the disruptor shot! Woo! That actually got a pretty good shot. I mean, MaxPax, that was a bit of a bait that I think HeRoMaRinE would have quickly identified as a bait, but thought that that would still be okay. But he kind of got baited a little bit. And now MaxPax has charge done. Disruptor still intact. Colossus as well. And HeRoMaRinE will not get the game-winning push that he was hoping for, which would have been really possible without the disruptor shot. That was... whew. Whew. Oh, did he forget Marauder slow, or was that just... I mean, his combat chills didn't finish all that long ago, so either... well, probably a moment's forget at the very least, but Marauder slow would have been very helpful as well. It's a lot of charge lots now. MaxPax also gonna have his own upgrade, which he was missing for the last battles. I don't know, this looks like MaxPax's gonna hold, man. The first hold is the most difficult. This one's gonna be a bit easier. Marines do rush into the natural. I like that little change up there from HeRoMaRinE. Adding some spice, the flavorless chicken that is this push. It's like, yeah, you do a forward push, you see chop your tanks. So cool, man. Add a little cayenne pepper with the Marines darting in. Those aren't 8 probe kills, though. Those are 8 SCV kills. So those Marines were very ineffective. You added cayenne to some guy that was allergic to cayenne. And it killed him. So I guess Zealots got across and killed 8. Or maybe they were on the front lines and I just missed it. Either way, HeRoMaRinE was the one that 2-base all-in. Just lost more of his economy. MaxPax now 20 workers ahead. Still with a very powerful army himself, about to get even better with Blink, although not that much better, I suppose. Not many Stalkers here, but still, it's an option. And HeRoMaRinE is quite desperate to do something. He's going to go into the main base. Quick recall. Quick recall. I saw it with a 4th base, I believe. But with the Phoenix dead? Wait, we had Phoenix in this game? What happened again? Now, with all the anti-air dead or not produced yet, now the Stalkers have been warped in. These Vikings get the Colossus, and the drop was able to escape. So really effective drop, more so than I was expecting. And going to actually just set it up once again to drop into the main base. Something that MaxPax, I believe, just barely glimpsed, or at least predicted. I think maybe predicted. He's a little late to actually controlling the Stalkers in the main base. Full unload from the 2 medevacs and also the forward push. The Disruptor is going to buy some time, however. I'm not sure it actually got the most amazing of shots. So both Disruptors already out of ammo. Perhaps HeRoMaRinE can make something work. This drop in the main base still working out. in a really tight spot, but the medevacs are out of juice, so that should probably be the end of it. If they were still full on juice, if they had healed everything up there, this would have still been going on, man. But fortunately, medevacs are constricted to energy. So clean up in the main base. But that allowed a lot of movements from the tanks on the front lines, temporarily delayed by disruptor shots. Now, once again, in that brutal position. Nexus getting focus fired now. And, oh, pick up. Oh, God. And the Zealot's coming from behind. Actually, the Nexus will have to be an afterthought. Liberators siege up on both directions. Will it be enough? HeRoMaRinE actually ahead in army supply. Big warband of charge lots, though. And there's not too much left here for HeRoMaRinE. Liberator pointing the wrong direction. Just a handful of Marauders, not many Marines. More reinforcements coming forward, however. And all things combined should be barely enough as long as he gets the unload, which he does. And now HeRoMaRinE can easily dodge out the 2 disruptors on this location. It's going to pull the SCVs. And that might be what pushes us over the edge. Second disruptor shot was used. A few more seconds on the first shot, I believe. And HeRoMaRinE knows that. He's going to grab 1 disruptor. 2 Liberators siege up. SCVs protect the bio from the Zealots. Take those Archon shots as well. But HeRoMaRinE actually sees how this is going to go ahead of time and decides to tap out. Which is kind of funny because there was still a little like glimmer of hope there. But he was right. He was not going to win at the end of the day. There wasn't going to be enough left over to actually push in through the third base into the natural, actually cut the head off the snake. He would have